What's up everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video. Last time, we began covering the events of Dragon Ball Super, seeing how the events of the story so far also affected that. Today, we'll be continuing more into Dragon Ball Super. Following what happened last time in Battle of Gods, things are definitely going to be changing a lot here. The course of everyone's training also changed too. So, besides the fact that Android 21's a part of the story, and now 17's even involved, we're also going to be going into what happened with everyone's training and how strong they're getting. For this video, let's set a like goal of 3,500 likes. If we hit that, I'll continue with another part to the series. Anyways, let's pick up from here. After last time, everyone's trying to figure out new methods of training right now. Goku and Vegeta are on Beerus' planet. Thankfully, neither Goku or Vegeta are actually behind this time. They both got Super Saiyan God at exactly the same moment and have been training the same ever since. And as for 21, she's trying to figure out what she could do. Of course, her physiology is very different from everyone else's, so she needs to try and figure out a way to combine God Ki with her current self, seeing if there's any way to actually master this, maybe even make a form out of it. And she gets an idea too. If she taps into that Majin form again, she could possibly be able to use those powers, although it might be tough. The last time she did use it, she went berserk, but maybe there's a way to use it while being good. This would not only buff her significantly in terms of strength, but also give her the abilities that Majin Buu has. And on top of that, the magical properties of this might even help her control the Ki more. She has no experience controlling God Ki herself, but she has studied it enough, and watching Goku and Vegeta fight gave her a bunch of data. Not to mention, she has become Beerus' favorite student, mainly because she could just make him food whenever he wants. She does get bored of it from time to time, but Beerus is trying to learn this ability for himself so he doesn't have to keep asking her to turn rocks into food. Great. She could be doing more than this. She didn't know she was coming here to just be his personal chef. But Beerus says if he picks up this ability, he'll teach her some interesting ones in response. If he's able to pick up this power, he could show her how to do Hakais and such, harnessing the energy of a god of destruction, which is exactly what she wants. Honestly, that sounds like a fair trade to her. But all the while, she is trying to master this God Ki, trying to use it for herself in whatever way possible. At some point, she is actually able to try and tap into this. Using her Majin form, she actually doesn't go berserk this time. She seems normal. I mean, she knew she could do this all along, and she could have done it whenever she wanted. She was just terrified that she would go berserk again. But she seems like she's perfectly content now. She has all the control she needs, and she's not in a weird state of mind either. And she's done a bunch of research, using her data, her research, her magical abilities, and her natural fighting prowess. She's able to eventually figure out a way to combine God Ki into this. This power is amazing. Even Goku and Vegeta are surprised. This might even be above where they are in terms of strength right now. Of course, her source of power is very different. Naturally, she does have the abilities of Saiyans as well. So she has a huge amount of potential, not just in terms of Zenkais and whatever, but just latent potential in general. She can grow so much stronger with such little training. And that's not even considering the fact that she has some of Frieza's DNA and some of Buu's DNA. Combine that with the fact that she can regenerate and use Majin powers in this form, and yeah, she's pretty busted right now. Well, Goku's at least glad that she's on their side now, but still, they can't help but shake the concern. Even though it's not as bad as before, they still are a bit concerned about her losing control, going berserk once more. She even said this herself. She doesn't know if or when it'll happen. It could come out of nowhere. It could not happen at all. But that goes mostly to the back of their minds. Right now, they need to just focus on their training and try and get stronger in whatever way possible. Beerus is very pleased at the moment. He has 3 strong people training on his planet, growing at an incredibly rapid rate, and he's learning how to create food out of anything. And not just any food either, Earth food. Earth food which he's trying more and more of every day. This is the best idea he's ever had. Back on Earth, other people are continuing their training too, specifically Gohan. After what 21 has shown him and told him, he's a lot more dedicated. And as I mentioned before, even Videl gets involved a bit too. Although she can't really keep up with Gohan's current strength, but hey, it's still nice to have her fighting more. The Great Saiyaman duo can even come back from time to time. But more importantly, Gohan's trying to improve his own strength, mainly with his ultimate form. Ultimate's already great as it draws out all of his latent potential, so whenever he tries something, all that potential gets channeled right into Ultimate. And now with access to God Ki, that changes Ultimate a bit. He doesn't need to use Super Saiyan God anymore. Just by going into Ultimate, he's able to draw out the potential of that form, but with way more control on top of that. Although, something weird happens with Ultimate. It begins changing a bit. With the inclusion of Super Saiyan God, and the fact that he has access to God Ki right now, Ultimate just evolves on its own. He's not sure why or how, but combining the properties of God Ki with the properties of Ultimate makes this brand new thing. It's not incredibly different. It's Ultimate like normal, and it has a few visual differences, mainly in how his eyes and aura look. But otherwise, it functions the exact same. It's basically Ultimate with God Ki instilled within it. Gohan doesn't need any crazy names for it either. So just like I did in What If Bardock was sent to the future, I'm just going to call this Ultimate God, a form that combines the properties of God Ki within Ultimate. And as you could probably guess, yeah, this is going to really change Resurrection F. Quick side note, whenever I do get the opportunity to make this arc interesting, I try my best. I mean, in certain other videos, like What If Cooler Turned Good, yeah, it's pretty easy to make this arc interesting. But the thing is, Resurrection F inherently is kind of boring, and it's very easy to avoid. So, as much as I hate to skip over it pretty much every time I make a What If, that's gonna have to happen again here. Frieza ends up coming to Earth, but with Gohan and even some other people so much stronger than before, as well as the fact that the androids are actually more involved this time around, Frieza's army is defeated incredibly easily, and once Frieza actually shows up, Gohan decides to take him on. Ultimate is more than enough to take on his final form, and Frieza's surprised. Where's that other monkey? He needs to fight Goku, kill Vegeta, and that one that killed him with the sword beforehand. He remembers this one. This is that brat Namek. That one that tried to attack him in an outburst of anger but accomplished nothing. Why is he so strong now? And he's not even using Super Saiyan. It doesn't look like he's using any form in general. It pisses off Frieza to no end. Alright, he did want to slaughter Goku and Vegeta, but this is fine too. He wants to make this quick. He wants to get this fight over with, and he wants to deal with this worm. He begins transforming and shows off his golden form, just as Gohan expected. Frieza has gotten stronger as well. But he isn't too phased, and Frieza's surprised. He thought that they would be kneeling in fear. Maybe he's just acting cocky. The Saiyans naturally like to act confident and all, so maybe it's just that. Yeah, he can't actually be stronger than Golden Frieza, right? Well, Frieza attacks him. Gohan immediately dodges and then powers up. His eyes slightly change color and his aura changes too, and Frieza's concerned. He can't sense him anymore. That ki, it's gone. Gohan chuckles. Oh yeah, even though Frieza is stronger, he's not on this level yet. And with Gohan knowing how dangerous Frieza is, he's gonna make sure he doesn't survive and get the ability to get to this level. And the greatest part is, this will be a great chance to test out Ultimate God. He powers up to his fullest, and he launches an attack that kinda overdoes it. You know, it was kinda underwhelming. I mean, he didn't really want to draw the fight out and risk that. But he just one-shotted Frieza after he got this brand new form. Gohan expected a little bit more and wanted to have more fun with us, but hey, Earth is safe and that's really all that matters. And it does let him gauge his power a bit. He is, well, stronger than he thought, in the simplest terms. With Resurrection F over and pretty easily avoided, next we can head on to the Universe 6 tournament. And the team here should be pretty obvious. Goku, Vegeta, and 21 are a shoo-in. Piccolo's probably going to be there too, and with Gohan actually training more and more motivated, yeah, he's going to be joining as well. It's essentially the team they originally wanted, and instead of Monaka, they got 21. They don't need Monaka. 21 has motivation enough, and honestly, even without her, Goku and Vegeta are very motivated on their own. They do use the Room of Spirit and Time beforehand, which kind of interests 21, but she doesn't really want to use it and would rather spend time relaxing. She doesn't need to push herself training for 3 years. Rather, she's going to try to use her analytical skills here. If there really are a bunch of strong fighters from Universe 6, she could probably pick up a bunch of interesting data. And she kind of does so. As the fights begin, she immediately starts collecting data. Of course, the first few aren't too interesting. The fight against Batamo is pretty standard, and once Frost comes up, well, clearly the data and DNA from him isn't really too interesting for 21. I mean, he's essentially just like Frieza. Actually, a weaker version of him. The one that Gohan just fought, Frieza himself, yeah, he was way more interesting, if anything. And it is revealed that he's evil too, so that pretty much confirms her theory. This guy is literally just Universe 6's version of Frieza. Kinda lame. There's not too much useful data from Vegeta either, and the fights like that go pretty easily too. Right now, Universe 6 has lost 3 fighters, and for the sake of brevity and simplicity, let's say the order's the same, and right now Vegeta's going up against Kappa, and that fight's gonna go pretty much the same too. Wow, 21's pretty surprised. For a completely separate universe, they seem really similar to Universe 7. I mean, of course, there are some small differences. Frost obviously isn't the exact same as Frieza, and as for Kappa, Universe 6 Saiyans are a little bit different, and they seem to actually grow pretty quickly, on top of the fact that they're naturally good and don't come with tails. But still, she was hyped up at the fact that there would be a multiverse to explore, and really all that she sees now is another copy of Universe 7. But hey, maybe in the future they'll see other universes with vastly different species, technologies, everything like that. That'll really interest her, and that'll be really great for her to study because it's more data and DNA that she can collect for herself, empowering herself even further and gathering great new skills. But actually, there is one more person in Universe 6, someone that she didn't even consider at first, at least not until he actually came up to fight, and that's Hit. This guy doesn't look like anyone she's ever seen in Universe 7 before, and he seems to act weirdly. His abilities, she can't tell what they are at first, but as she studies closer and closer and everyone begins discussing, she figures it out. Time abilities, the ability to warp time, stop it, skip it, whatever. That's his ability? That's insane! I mean, of course, manipulating time isn't anything new. She has been working with Bulma after all. A future version of her literally made a time machine, which is probably the craziest way to manipulate time. But this is different. This isn't time travel. This is time used for combat. Sure, it's similar in a way, but very different. The utilization of it, it's fascinating to her. Goku notices her analyzing it too, and she's able to give him some tips. Granted, he's already going into this fight pretty confident anyways, and like I've mentioned a few times so far, Goku's already stronger than he was normally. Vegeta does put up a better fight against Hit, although he does end up losing, which means Goku's up next, and as you'd probably expect, it goes pretty similar to normal. Gohan and 21 are pretty bummed out because they didn't really get to fight, but still, they learned a lot from this. Gohan is pretty interested in the other universes too. It would be great for his research. I mean, imagine how great this would be as a scholar, discussing the existence of multiverses. I mean, of course, he can't just flat out say it and tell people. He doesn't want to freak people out, but he can slowly research it and slowly begin telling people about it, becoming a great and famous scholar. He does have a head start on everyone after all. He's really the only academic that knows about this and will publicly talk about it. This will be great for him. So even though he didn't get to fight, this was a great experience. But for 21, it's completely different. Of course, she didn't have a similar experience to Gohan, but she also got some data on Hit. And more importantly, she was actually able to gather some DNA from him. Dr. Gero had his own drones, so she was able to make her own pretty easily as well. Much smaller, much more discreet, and much quicker. Luckily, while everyone was resting, she was able to get the drones to collect some data from everyone. And most of the data from Universe 6 is pretty useless, especially someone like Frost who's evil, which she doesn't want in her. But in terms of DNA that she does want to assimilate with herself, it could be interesting. Oh yeah, he's definitely a bad guy, but he's not necessarily evil. It's not like Frieza where he's just going around killing people for fun and taking over planets. The bad things that he does do have a purpose, not that she agrees with them, but still. The point is she doesn't see any risk using Hit's DNA because of that. Combine that with the data she collected on him, maybe she could harness his power for herself. Messing with time skipping, all that stuff that Hit was doing. She analyzed his fighting style, picked up on the abilities and techniques that he was using. And also, there's the fact that he has pure progress. This can enhance her potential even more. The more she researches this, the better. She's excited to get back to Universe 7. And yeah, she's glad they won, and a little bummed out that she didn't get to fight, but hey, this experience went way better than she thought. After seeing the other fighters from Universe 6, she was kind of bored, but now she's hyped up. She could probably use this for herself. And Beerus knows that she's probably up to something with Hit's DNA. It becomes pretty obvious, and he knows her pretty well by now and knows that this is something she would do. But since she did teach him how to make food from nothing, and the fact that Beerus actually has taken a liking to her as a student, he's gonna let it slide. Yeah, as a god of destruction, he should probably do something about his student messing with time, but hey, not his concern. She's not using it for nefarious purposes, and he doesn't even know if that's what she's up to now. And on top of that, if she does learn how to do this, it'll make her a much more interesting rival. He'll be lenient, just because he likes her, Goku, and Vegeta. But while Beerus is going to be lenient about this, there are other gods that look down upon this. Well, that's an understatement. They don't just look down upon it. They find it disgusting, infuriating. And you could probably tell who I'm talking about by now. Zamasu. Yeah, Zamasu's been watching all of this, and he's been plotting something. Maybe it's time for the Zero Mortals plan. Mortals have been messing with time, and not just that, they're making a mockery of godly powers. And he does consider, he could steal a mortal's body, but this time, he has a different choice. Yeah, he could probably take Goku's body, but also, what about 21? He honestly views her as an abomination, as well as the other androids that exist on Earth, but mainly her. She's made from artificial life forms. Now, he doesn't know too much in depth about all these things, but the fact that she's a bio-android made from DNA from other mortals disgusts him. These mortals are trying to create life. They're trying to act like they're Kais themselves, imitating the power of gods, but they're not as sublime as someone like Zamasu. They can't imitate the power of Kais. No, he's not going to stand for that. Besides the fact that they're messing with time, they're doing this too. And to make things even worse, these abominations, these freaks of nature, they're using godly ki. It's like they're mocking him, spitting in his face and rubbing it in. But he hatches a plan to eradicate all mortals, the Zero Mortals plan. And he begins thinking, whose body should he steal? I mean, it would be fitting for a mortal to actually do this. Using a mortal's power to actually kill them, harnessing it for himself and using it in an interesting way. And his mind does consider the possibility of stealing Goku's body, but no, he might have a better candidate right in front of him. So, will he actually steal 21's body, or will he go with Goku Black? Well, I'm not going to say right now, and we're going to have to say that for the next part. This is where we'll leave off for now. So, what did you guys think about this part? And what do you think is going to happen next time? Whose body is Zamasu going to steal? And what's going to happen once he actually does take control of someone's body? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. And let's try to hit that like goal from the beginning of the video so we get another part of the series. If you haven't already, why not subscribe? As well as hitting the bell icon so you're notified about any future uploads on my channel, including more parts of the series or any other videos like this one. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.